If you want a traditional wife, then be a traditional man. You cannot ask for stay-at-home wifey privileges if you don't have stay-at-home wifey money. You want me to clean the kitchen? I'm happy to clean the kitchen if I get to wake up at 10. I get to clean the kitchen, I get to go lounge by the pool, and then you come home at night. Like, sure, no problem. But if I'm waking up at the crack of dawn with you, we're both going to our two very demanding jobs, and then coming home, don't ask me for anything you're not willing to do.
Go ahead, Vince. I see you coming off. Go ahead, man.
I don't agree with that.
I don't either, Vince.
I got questions too.
Because if you're a traditional woman, you're going to be traditional regardless.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always bring my wife into it, but my wife had 2 kids, drove 20 miles both ways to work, and I never seen her house junky. Never, ever. You know, she cooks, she clean. So I just think that when you start having these things about, well, you do what I do, if you're gonna do what I do, then I don't need you. You have to do what I need or what I don't want to do to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So then I also don't understand with a lot of these ladies that are over a certain age that have children. My question is, you don't keep your house clean for the kids? You don't cook for the kids? Or are you fronting, talking about you a good woman, you this and that and other, when all you really do it is going to a job? And letting your mama raise your kids. Or they raising themselves. And these dudes, just like I say, it costs to be the boss. So if you're projecting this provider type of man, then you gotta bring it. If you're not that, then just don't be that. I mean, I don't think there's nothing wrong with quote unquote 50-50. As long as you know what you're bringing and you know your value, and that's what y'all agree upon. But don't sit up here and say, "Oh, I want a traditional wife. You know, you got to cook and clean, but you know, you got to pay half of this mortgage every month." So I think we all just fronting and lying. It's a lot of fronting and it's a lot of lying going on.
I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel that right there. I feel that right there. Go ahead, Coco. You want to say something?
I think that there's a lot of lying. There's definitely a lot of front and lying. But I also want to speak to the flawed mindset, right? Like, it's interesting to me, right? People will say, oh, 2-parent household, 2-parent household. A lot of the 2-parent households that we all came from, those of us who came from a 2-parent household, a lot of those 2-parent households, that was the way it worked. It was a team effort, right? So your mom didn't need your dad to tell her that he expected her to go 50-50. They didn't have those kinds of conversations. She just knew that she was the helpmeet, so she helped. And whatever that helped look like, right? Whatever that help looked like, it might have looked like financial. It might have looked like she was the homemaker. She stayed at home, so it wasn't necessarily a financial contribution, but it was, she held everything down so that he could go out into the world. And yeah, that might mean he may work long hours. He may have had a somewhat demanding job. So she knew that. So she understood that she kind of had to hold things down at the house, which meant that he may not come home and do laundry. He might not. Right? Because his job would take him away from the house sometimes for longer hours or whatever the case may be. He may not have came home and washed the dishes, right? She understood that part of the give and take was, I'll handle that part, because he's handling this part, and we're balancing each other out. this idea. Now, then you have the scenario where women work too. Whether it was part-time or whether it was just, they had little side projects or businesses or things that they did, but they would bring something financial into the home as well. And they understood that I'm going to help, however, whatever that looks like. If it looks like I'll grab this bill over here, or I'll buy food, or, whatever the case may be, right? There never had to be where he had to say, well, I need a 50-50 woman. That was never even the conversation. She was going to help because that's what she did. And he was going to provide the life that he, was able to provide, regardless. And so this idea that now as a man, and I'm not a man, but as a man, you have to pay her to be your help. You have to pay her to be a wife. Like, that's what it's giving. It's giving that y'all expect men to pay y'all just to do wifely things. Like, you're a wife. You said you wanted to be a wife. So why does a man have to pay you to be a wife? Being a wife, there's certain things you already know you're going to do. Let's just be honest. You are the nurturer. You are the caregiver. You're probably a little more organized than he is as a man. The woman, you're probably more organized. Although there's some very organized men, but you guys get it. Like, you're probably better keeping the schedules, better getting the kids where they need to go. You're just better at those things. We were built to be better at those things, right? So you naturally handle those things. You do that, right? Why do you now expect that he, who is not necessarily as efficient in those matters as you are, should now want to pay you to do those things when you were literally created to be able to do those things better? Just like a man saying, I know I was built strong, but can you do all the grass cutting? Can you do all the maintenance on a house? Can you do all the oil changes? Can you do that? Because why should I have to go to work and provide and then come home and still do other things? Like, men don't go around saying, why do I have to be a provider and still come home and change the oil and mow the lawn? Men don't say things like that. Men don't expect, because they provide financially, that's it. They don't have to do. That's a lie. Men don't do that. They don't expect to only provide financially and then do nothing else. If they are that kind of man, then they pay people to do it. They don't ask you to do it though, wife. They don't ask you to do it though. So that's what's crazy to me. Why do women say, well, if I work a job, then I shouldn't have to do anything else? Why is that where we are? Where most of us were raised in homes where we saw our mom maybe work a job, whether it was part-time or full-time, and she still cooked for us. She still picked us up from daycare or latchkey or dropped us off. She still took us to soccer or whatever else we did. She still did those things, even though she worked. So where do we get this idea and this concept that we're going to be staying asleep till 10 o'clock and laying by the pool? Whose life is that? What kind of money does this man have to make for you to be able to lay up by the pool and sleep till 10? Are y'all going to have kids? Who's going to be taking care of the kids? Oh, you need a nanny. You need a housekeeper. You need a cook, a chef. What kind of money? Every stay-at-home mom, every stay-at-home wife does not have a rich husband. As a matter of fact, most don't. They're just average working people where they decided that that's how they wanted to run their home. So it's crazy to me that y'all think this is the lifestyle. And basically it just boils down to women, y'all don't want to do nothing. Women don't want to do anything anymore. They don't want to work outside the home. They don't want to work inside the home. And if they work outside the home, they don't want to work inside. You just don't want to do anything. That's what it's given.
Okay. Beatboxer, you had that look on your face, man. You want to say something? You good, man.
Hey, yeah. So those are a couple of things. Like I think a couple of things can be true at the same time, and they might be contradictory to each other. There are men, and it might be a generational thing. I'm a millennial, okay, so I'm pretty young, okay. There are guys in my generation who believe I just have to work and do nothing, but the woman does everything while she works. There is a I'm not saying the majority, but there are a decent amount of them out there who think like, oh yeah, I saw what my dad did, right? But there's a new day and time. The economy is different. You got to compete with women in the workforce. Like all these things are different now. So, and I'll tell them, hey man, you got to do something. Like you can't just be not present in your own relationship just because you make money. Hell, some of them, the woman makes more than them, and that happens. You're like, what's going on? Like that's crazy to me. I'm not pushing back on Coco because I do think it's not the majority of men, right? It's just my lived experience of what I've seen. On that video we saw, I understand why she's saying what she's saying. Like, hey, you can't say I'm the boss and not do bossly things. On the other hand, like Coco did say, who's waking up at 10 a.m. in the morning? Who's doing that? Like, and like you said, having children, like that changes the whole dynamic of the relationship. You're not 10 a.m. A kid's not gonna let you sleep till 10 a.m. Ain't finna happen. That's not gonna happen. I mean, I've got 2 little kids, but I have a third. It's coming in February. There is no way either one of us is sleeping till 10 a.m. It's not going to happen. So I'm like, what are we talking about here? Like, I think a lot of people don't understand that relationships are like it's a constant negotiation. It's always changing depending on what's going on in your status in life. And I'll use me and my wife as an example, and that'll be done. Like me and my wife, we both work. She has a master's, I have 2 bachelor's degrees. We both have 2 great jobs, right? But there's a constant negotiation with us. Hey, you do this, I do that. There's not and we're a team. Like it's not, well, because I'm a man or like we just whoever gets to it. And now we have 2 little kids. We got to figure out like what to do as well. So it's not. Sometimes it seems as though some people in relationships are adversarial with each other. Like they're trying to, what can I get from you for free? And it shouldn't be that way. So that's just my feeling on it.
Yeah, and I appreciate that right there. Go ahead, Vince.
And the funny thing about this lady is that she probably even wouldn't be satisfied being a housewife. That's the funny thing.
Nope. What's good? It's your boy Quay Price holding it down for Candid Convos. Man, if you enjoyed this video, man, go check out this next one.